Now, the last one is the companies. So if you give your property over to a company, the pros and cons can change depending on the company it is. So there are different types of companies. Let's go through some of those. First one that comes to mind is disability. So a company who houses, people who are disabled or have any form of disability and they receive disability living allowance, that's generally the criteria to be classed as disabled. So if you have that, they can live in there and they will have support workers that will go and support them in different ways. If your property is such that it's perfect for wheelchair, so it's got wheelchair access, so it's got ramps. It might have a lift. If it doesn't have a lift, it might just be a ground floor. Or if it's in an apartment block, you can have HMOs in apartment blocks. They have lifts, so that can be good for wheelchair access. So this type of tenant, what happens is you might have a 4 bedroom. 2 rooms might be filled with the actual disabled person, and the other 2 rooms are for their workers. Their support workers. You get paid for all 4 rooms because the company takes on the whole property. They then take on the maintenance of the property as well, so you don't even have to do that. So you can do a deal with them where they pay for the bills and they pay for maintenance, and of course they pay you rent. That literally is like a rent to rent to a rent to rent. So you're taking the property from the landlord, paying the landlord the rent, and they to the landlord you're paying the bills. But then you hand the property over to this other company, and they pay the bills, they pay you the rent, and they pay the maintenance as well. So you're just the person in the middle making a nice chunk from almost doing nothing. But you're not doing nothing. You've handed them a property, and you can hand them more like that. Okay, so you're getting paid for your contact. Now, the other option of doing the deal is where you pay the bills and they pay for maintenance. That's more common because they just want to pay a rent and they want to pay the maintenance, like something, especially when the tenants have damaged something, like the disabled tenants. If they damage something, that company will very likely pay for that, the fixtures. So this one can be very fruitful. You could potentially make £400 a month to 600 maybe by just doing that deal. It's possible. You're signing 2 pieces of paper, doing 2 deals from your contacts, putting them together and making that passively every month. Now, another example is construction companies. Like I mentioned at the beginning, construction companies, they have a project going on somewhere in the region. Where their head office is and where the project is sometimes they're not close, they're very far. And they want to send their workers or their specific workers, their project managers, or just someone or some people who work in their company near the head office. They need them to relocate because they're the project managers, and that project manager could hire people in the local area, but he or she will actually be coming from somewhere else. They need somewhere to stay. The local people don't. So it's those people from the that the head office have sent. They're the ones who need the room. So construction companies can they could take the house for anywhere between 3 months to 6 months to a year, depending on how long that project is on. And the people in the rooms will stay there maybe for 3 months, then a different group of people for 3 months, and a different group of people for 3 months. Why? Because as the project grows and it develops, they will have different a need for different tradesmen. They will go and then they'll leave and a new set will come, but that company will just manage that property. And that is a lot cheaper for them than having hotels. So bear this in mind. They will save so much money with you than with hotels. Okay, so and that's one of your ways of getting your foot in the door with them. And so anytime you meet construction companies, ask them, do they need properties? Do they need, you've got some here and there. And I had one person say this to me. I had no rooms at the time, and he said, "I'll take property for you from you for 6 months." And he said this in the gym. So I met someone. I was talking to someone else. He mentioned this to me, and we were in the gym. And I didn't follow it up because I didn't have any properties for him at the time, but the contact is there. Okay, so construction companies. There are companies that can tell you where the construction is happening all over the country, and but they have a subscription service. So this is how you can find them. You can pay a subscription, and then you can see where all the work is happening, and you can see where the head office is. So what does that indicate? If their head office is in London and your property is in Birmingham, then and they're sending workers in Birmingham, then you know that, okay, they're going to have people that they're sending, they need accommodation, let me contact them. That could be your search criteria. Okay, but otherwise you can make phone calls, you can look at those website of construction companies, you can contact them, you can meet them when you're out and about, and so on. Another thing to do on this construction side is speak to the construction companies local to you, local to your area, local to your HMO. Speak to them when you see them and say, do any of you, are you coming from far? Are you staying somewhere? Because I have houses and rooms that I could rent to your company. Just say that, there's no harm. So the benefits is that they take the whole property, they pay on time, you're getting paid by a bigger company rather than individuals. There's one phone call to make rather than many. So in terms of benefits, the harms, there aren't many harms. That's the nice thing about this one. There are not many downsides. They're very likely to give that property back to you in a good state. These people are not here to party or anything. They're there for work, so they see it like a hotel. They're not going to damage the property. They'll just eat, cook, use bathroom, and go on. So you may provide a cleaner for them as well, or the company might provide the cleaner. So downsides is that they're hard to find. Okay, they are out there, but they're a little bit harder to find. And if you can find them, get your foot in the door. It's one of the best things you could do. You might have your tenants confirmed for the next 5-6 properties.